Hello everyone, I welcome you to this yet another session in computer vulnerabilities. Today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic, and that is DOS and DDoS attacks. Now, DOS implies denial of service attacks, and DDoS implies distributed denial of service attacks. So we're going to look at what DOS attacks are and DDoS attacks are, what they do, how can they disrupt the proper working of your computers or the proper working of your systems, whatever they could be, and your servers, and how they are initiated, how they come up, how they are started, and how to mitigate. So particularly in this session, in this video, we'll be looking at exactly how a DOS attack can be triggered or can be initiated. So distributed denial of service attacks are now everyday occurrences, whether you are a small non-profit or a huge multi-billion organization. So long as you have online services, you are a target or you are a victim. So what are some of the online services that we talk of or that can be targeted? The services that we look at are email, websites, anything that faces the internet can be a target. So it can be slowed or it can be stopped from serving. Remember, these are servers on the internet that are queried whenever need be, or whenever a user wants something from it, or whenever users want services from them. So they can be slowed or they can be completely put off or stopped by one of these attacks. It could be a DOS attack, or it could be a distributed denial of service attacks. Moreover, these attacks are sometimes used to distract your cybersecurity measures or your security measures in place, or the security operations in place. And the whole essence of this is they do that for other criminal activities to take place without your knowledge or without your understanding. So before you know, you find that the DOS attack is happening, as well as data is being stolen, your identity has been stolen, your critical credentials has been stolen. So by the time you end a DOS attack or a DDoS attack, something has happened without your understanding or without your knowledge. Okay, so what is a DOS attack? A denial of service attack is a very simple technique to deny accessibility to services. So a target, for example, a server or a network resource, or a victim to this attack is overloaded with oversized packets or a big quantity of them in order to deny services to the clients that get services from it. So the attack does not compromise the information or privacy of the target, but it only aims to prevent access to the target by sending a lot of packets or a quantity of packets that the target cannot handle. So you'll find that the number of packets that are sent to this resource cannot be handled by the resource, provided, let's say, the bandwidth that was subscribed to this resource cannot really handle the quantity of packets being sent to it. So the DOS attacks are carried out from a single device. Therefore, it is easy to stop them by blocking the attacker's IP. So yet an attacker can change and even spoof, or what we call clone, the target's IP address, but it is not hard for firewalls to deal with such attacks. So contrary to what happens with the DDoS attack. So you find that with the DOS attack, it is only an individual, or the attack is coming from one point of address or from one source, which is contrary to the DDoS attack. The DDoS attack happens from various sources or from different nodes sending quantities of queries or requests to such a network resource, as we'll be looking at it in the coming video. Okay. Like the DOS, a distributed denial of service attack is an attack which seems to be carried out from different nodes or from different attackers. It looks like the attack is coming from various points, but not particularly from a one point source, but from different computers, let's say, all of them querying the same resource. So it seems like they are carried from different nodes simultaneously. So commonly the DDoS attacks are carried out by botnets. Now, it is not necessarily that so many people are sending packets, but then what we call botnets or a bot, you'll find that the attacker will send malicious content to computers, let's say in a network, and then the network resources are made to operate under the control of an attacker, hence sending multiple packets elsewhere to a resource or targeting a particular resource to put it out of service. So in a DOS attack, it's one system that is sending the malicious data or the requests, but in a distributed denial of service attack comes from multiple systems. So generally these attacks work by drowning a system with the requests for data, and this could be sending a web server so many requests to serve a page that it crashes under the demand, or it could be a database being hit with a high volume of queries. So the result is available internet bandwidth, the CPU and the RAM capacity becomes overwhelmed. So that is the whole essence behind the distributed denial of service attack. Okay, so we talked about the botnets. The botnets are automated scripts or programs which infect computers to carry out an automated task. In this case, a DDoS attack, a hacker can create a botnet and infect many computers, from which botnets will launch with the denial of service attacks. So the fact is, many botnets are shooting simultaneously. They will turn the DOS attack into a DDoS attack, since each computer is doing what we call a denial of service attack, and yet there are very many, meaning that they are seemingly trying to put out the resource out of service to other clients who may need service from this kind of resource from the network, and that is why it is called a distributed denial of service attack. Okay, so a botnet is a number of internet connected devices, each of which is running one or more bots. So a bot is like a network robot. You find that it is always controlled, it is always under the control of a computer savvy person or an attacker, let's say, who will control it with a purpose. So the botnets can be used to perform distributed denial of service attacks, to steal data, send spam, and allows the attacker to access the device and its connection. So the owner can control the botnet using command and control software. Now the command and control software, this is what you have to understand from the look of things. They create a script, like in form of a Trojan. A Trojan is a malware that is sent to a computer to make it a slave to an attacker. When it is a slave to an attacker, it means an attacker has full control over that kind of device, and then it will be under the control of this attacker for whatever the attacker wants it to do. So the attacker will control this device, whatsoever it may be, to send multiple requests or queries to a particular target. So he will do this to not only one device but to several on different networks. So if there are a community of controlled computers, that is what we call a network of bots, and when they are in a network form, it means they compile or make what we call a botnet. So there can be so many botnets. Imagine so many networks or many local networks, for example, from various points or parts of the globe, but they are all targeting one target or one victim, let's say a network device, or let's say a web server. So they will have to send in multiple queries that the server cannot really handle or answer to. That will be the cause of the denial of service to other clients or other queries. Okay, now we're going to look at how to initiate a denial of service attack. We have a tool called Hping3. This is a tool that can be used on Linux-based machines, Linux-based operating systems. It is a tool that allows an attacker to send manipulated packets. It allows you to control the size, the quantity and fragmentation of packets in order to overload a target and bypass or attack firewalls. So let us see how can you install this kind of tool on your device. Now, if you have sudo rights or use super user privileges, you can install software on a Linux machine, let's say Kali Linux or Ubuntu or Parrot Security. So you can easily download and install software. So with a command like apt install hping3 -y means you are installing the program hping3, which we shall be using initiate denial of service attacks. Okay, the screen will look like the way you see mine here while installing. So I will later on I'm going to show you this practically, and then we shall see how we can I will show you in the lab how this is done. Okay, so the whole thing starts from identifying your target. How do you identify your target? You can identify your target using scanning tools like Nmap. You can identify your target using sniffing tools over the network, such that you can easily get the target identity and then get the services that you really want to put out of service, and then maybe get credentials or get critical information that you are really aiming at. So you ensure that your identity is hidden. As an attacker, this is what they always look at. So probably you will never know that this is an attacker trying to have access to my computer, so let me really do away with him. So what you will be able to see is your service. You cannot really get services from a particular device. You cannot really browse a certain server. You cannot do much with a certain resource. So that is where all things get worse. Okay, so right away let me start my machine right here, and then we shall have to move. Okay, I'm just starting my lab. Okay, and then we said we have to first of all find the target. So how do you find the target? I have one of the test servers that you can use is vernweb.com. This is for hacking practices. You can really use it. So this is one of the servers that we can really rely on, or we can do what we are trying to talk about here in class. So what we're going to do is first of all identify what is this kind of target that we are looking for. So we have several tools in our arsenal right here when it comes to Linux. In this arsenal we will find that you have several tools that you can use really to find out more about a target that you're trying to aim at. So for example, a tool like Dimitri, you can use Dimitri to find out much about the target. vernweb.com. So it gives quite pretty a good scope about the target, information about the target. Most especially what we need much or most is the IP address of that target. So it's right here. I've gotten what I want, so I'll copy this. So after copying this, I have much more information that I need. For example, I need to get the services that I need to target. Okay, so it will give me the services. How do you know the services that this is the service that I need? It can also give you the range. For example, if I want to get the range of IPs, for example, over over the clients to that network, or that are allowed to query, I will just calculate IP calc, then I put my target. Oh, sorry. Let me see. Where is my target? I must have copied it wrongly. So I'll copy it. I'll copy it. Then I will open a new tab. I say IP calc. Okay, I'll do that. So it will give me the range of devices that I can really get or use. So this is the network. This is the network range. So if I want, I can use a range of devices ranging from 1 to 254. So meaning all those I can really use them. So this is where I want you to look at most. It is the services that are running on this server. I have port 25. Port 25 is very open. Port 22 SSH, very open. Port 21 FTP is so open. 25 for email is very open. Now there are other ports that will be coming. So I will majorly look at the commonest or the mostly used port, which is port 80. It is also open. You'll see it with time. So I'll use port 80. There you are. It's very open. Okay, so I have now pretty background about the target. So what do I need to do? I need to look at now. I have to first of all identify, do I have Hping3? So if you don't have, you will begin by installing sudo apt-get install Hping3. So there it comes. Well, me, I have Hping3 already installed. So from there, you now need to know what are some of the options that you have. So you can have Hping3. To get options, you just put help. Then you'll have very many options. I have options to send synchronization packets. I have options for the count. If I want to send particular amount of packets, I have options for doing it quietly, for verbosity. So we're going to look at these, and then for several of them. So here we come. I'll close this. Then we'll begin with where we started, how we can initiate one. So how do we do that? I'll sudo Hping3 sudo hping3 minus s minus flood minus v for verbosity minus port, because I'm targeting port 80. Then I'll put my target. I will put my target. Okay, I don't see. That's absurd. That's so absurd. Let's get my target. It's right here. Copy this. I'll paste that. So with that simple kind of command, it can really put down services. It's a simple DOS command. So you find that the problem with this, let's first see. How do you know that you're putting down service? If you browse and see whether you can really have access to the server. So it will browse and browse. As it browses, let's keep continuing. So there are several ways that you can really put down. You find that the one that I've just initiated, we have not hidden our identity. Because you are doing an illegal activity, you really don't need to expose yourself like that. So what will you do for you to succeed in something like that? You need to hide your identity. So how do we hide our identity? We will hide our identity in this way. Sudo hping3 minus rand source minus s. Okay. Okay, minus s. Then we'll have to specify the port minus p 80. Then we'll have to identify the target. What is the target? The target is right. Oh, sorry. We will have to pick our target again. So after that, we order the tool to flood. Flood means do the process very fast, very fast. Now we can as well try to modify by doing this quietly, and then it should not show the host's IP, but then the target's IP instead. Then another thing is you can as well give a description of, let's say, the size of the packets you want to send. Really, how should they be like? So after that, you can now try and send, and then you see what is going to happen. Now you see the first command that we sent, even up to now, the server cannot respond. Now let's again continue browsing. Now this one hidden we've hidden our identity. Rand source means you are hiding your identity. It keeps you anonymous. Your availability or whatever you're doing will not be heard the other side, or you will not be identified or tracked down when you're doing whatever you're doing. Then flag, okay, so as it's browsing, you see the first attempt, it has put the server down, so we're having trouble finding this site. That is just a clear site that that the server has been put down, or it is made to deny services to clients. So the same way you'll find that this other query as well will deny services to clients. Okay, so the flags that show you that really an attack has been successful is, you'll see things like site unreachable, denied, we are having trouble finding the site, we can't connect to the server, and things like that, really. Okay, so that's a brief of what we expect. Okay, so when you look at the queries that we've been looking at, really you find that we've been using things like Hping3, rand source, s, minus p, things like that. We need to find out our flood. What is it really exactly? Okay, so sudo means these are privileges. Now a sudoer is a user in the Linux environment who has super user rights in the system, or it is a command that will give a user, when you proceed your command with the command sudo, it means you are using rights, or you are intending to give a user rights to do what a privileged user or a super user would do, or would really do. Okay, so Hping3 calls Hping3 program, the one that we installed in the first place, if you remember. So minus s specifies SYN, or synchronization packets. Those are ICMPs, and sending all those packets to, remember when we are trying to ping, we send ICMPs and all that. So minus flood, that is shooting at discretion, or replies will be ignored. In other words, it will do whatever it will do, putting the service down, but then it will not send us feedback. That is why when you look at our command, it is not sending us feedback. You see, no replies will be shown. You see, that has been shown. No reply will be shown. So in other words, you don't expect replies. Okay, so you'll find that you'll not see so much on the screen as such as when you would send ping requests. Ping requests will fill the screen as you're doing that. Verbosity, minus v for verbosity, then minus p specifies a service. Services are specified on individual ports that are open or closed, or at whatever state they are. But then each port has got a service. So for example, port 21 has service FTP, or file transmission protocol. And then we have port 22 for the secure shell, or the SSH. Then file 25 for email services, port 80, that is for HTTP. Now, meaning that there are services on each port, so you can identify a service. That's why we first of all got information about about our target, to get which service we can really put out of service from clients. So you can replace the number, whatever service that you have, you can put whichever service that you have. You can put minus p minus p. You put for all ports ranging from 0 to 6553, 5. Okay, so that's the port range. Okay, then the target, when you look at whenever you're doing, of course you are aiming at a certain target, so you put the target IP and then you are good to go. Okay, so we can really see, you can see when this is the state when really you initiate your when you initiate your attack, you will find something like this. So there will be no replies, like we said, if at all you use minus flood. So flood will really bring no results. Okay, so that is the state it will be like. So we can really do this again. We can mask our okay, not really masking, but then we can fake the IP or the source of the packets. If at all you know that the firewall whitelists some IPs to enter and then some IPs are blocked at the firewall, you can, if at all you know the IP range, you can now fake the IP, spoof the IP, and then put an IP that is allowed in the network in the local network, such that you can have your packets go like without being distracted or without being being stopped at the firewall. Okay, so let's look at that briefly as we wind up this. Okay, so I will have to stop this. When I stop this, we will start our server to confirm whether it is running. Okay. So these are some of the ports. These are some of the services that you can work around with. Okay, now let's see whether the server is found. Okay, let's see whether we can try to Google to see whether we can get our server running. Then we can try and fake the IP. Okay, right. So as it's restarting, this is how it is going to be like. So we'll try to mask our identity, and then we'll try to mask our identity. But literally we see that since we want to fake an IP, we'll have it in this way. So we'll use sudo hping3 -n, then we put the IP. The IP is right here. Now we are going to fake the IP as if the server is sending to itself. So we'll put it there. Then again. So this is the source and this is the destination. Okay. So after identifying that, Of course, we are sending SYN packets. On port 80. So we are removing this. Port 18. Then we are making it by using something like faster. Minus C. Minus C. For the count of, let's say, let's say 100,000. Let's add another one. Oh no, 100. Okay, 1 million, something like that. So even if it gives us feedback, it's okay. Alright, so before we click, we need to find our server is not yet back. Okay. So denial of service really happens in that kind of way, so long as a resource or a network resource cannot be accessed or has been put out of service. That is what we term to as a denial of service. So the same way, okay. Okay, so that can also work the way you see it. 0 packets received, so this side did not receive any. We have transmitted over 1 million packets. You see, 100 packet lost, so we did not lose any packets. So you find that all these packets have been sent, and if at all, if the server has restarted, you find it cannot be really accessed because it will run out of capability or potential to process all those million packets at once. Okay, so literally that is what we call denial of service attack, and we will be looking at distributed denial of service attack when we meet in the next video. Thank you. For questions and query, you will send in your questions and queries.